Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the reports of Boris Johnson's government making face masks compulsory in shops at least, as well as a few other enclosed areas. Except it isn't for the reason that you would imagine. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So we know that the chances of infection are massively reduced if all people coming into contact, or even, close contact outdoors or general contact indoors, because it's not just about whether you come close to someone indoors, if you come close to where someone was even a few minutes ago indoors, that wearing face masks massively reduces the chances of passing the infection around. And as a result of this relatively simple way to reduce that rate of infection, sane countries absolutely make the wearing of face masks compulsory, certainly in shops and similar indoor centres as well, where it's feasible, of course. Not in the UK. No. I mean, we've got a government that wants to actively encourage us to move into close contact with others, especially indoors, and yet face masks are a suggestion. You should probably wear face masks. Yes, I know I'm not wearing a face mask, but you might want to think about it. And it's not even a very strong suggestion at that. But now we're being told that the government has rethought this stance. Of course, it's extremely late in the day, but we are where we are, and it would at least lessen the impact of what must surely be a second wave on the way in the second half of 2020. Except with the government going ahead with this, and I don't know exactly when it's coming into force, it will have nothing whatsoever to do with reducing the rate of infection. Absolute insanity, I know, but let's go through this. So before I go over the reason for insisting that people wear masks in certain scenarios, let's look at the politics of the situation. So it's been months since I've personally been wearing face masks in shops or other enclosed buildings, basically just work, on the one time I had to go in. And therefore it must have also been months since healthcare experts have been advising it, because I didn't just randomly decide to wear a face mask. So why didn't the government enforce this as a rule when we were being told months and months ago just how much this can cut the rate of infection, rather than leaving it up to what was always going to be a tiny minority to piss against the wind on this? I mean, part of it could be explained by the attitude of certain people in government now, that libertarian attitude that holds that governments shouldn't really tell people how to live their lives. The fear of the so-called nanny state. And I mean, that term itself can give you an idea about the sort of people that talk about these things. There's only so many people that would even know what a nanny is from personal experience. And that still may be at play here. It still may be partly explaining that. But I think the other issue at the time, even if the government had a thought, right, this could actually, deal with the situation, shall we make it compulsory? There would be the issue of supply. You can't force people to wear face masks indoors in public unless you're going to make them available for people. And I know some people would say, well, anything was better than nothing, a scarf, piece of cloth. People repurpose socks and all sorts. But some people would sort of say, well, I don't have a face mask. I'm not very handy. I haven't got anything to use. I need to be able to get some. Can't get any. I bought some medical face masks. I have cloth ones. I have some medical ones. The medical ones I bought from overseas. I'm massively stockpiled on them. I've still got plenty left. And it would also have highlighted, I suppose, the scandal of the lack of PPE, such as face masks, for medics and other frontline healthcare workers, I suppose. If you were talking about the fact that members of the public would need to be wearing these things, people would be saying, well, hang on a minute, how come nurses aren't wearing them when they should be wearing them under normal circumstances? So I suspect the government didn't really want policies that pointed out just how crap they'd been. And even when the government were taking a sledgehammer to the lockdown restrictions, there was still, even then, no thought of making it compulsory to wear masks in shops, let alone other settings, in other indoor workplaces. I mean, we had the Chancellor last week, which I'd already talked about, pretending to be a waiter, encouraging people to go to restaurants. Now, obviously, a restaurant goer can't wear a face mask, can't really eat through a face mask. I remember when the pubs opened, looking at, there were various people taking photos of themselves in the pubs. One group of people took photos where they were wearing face masks, as if to say, we're doing this safely. Thinking, now show me drinking that beer with your face mask on. Not a sign of a straw anyway. But staff in a restaurant could wear face masks. But there you had the Chancellor pretending to be a waiter, bringing out the food, talking at people. He didn't just bring out the food and come close to people and give it to them. He came close to them and talked to them over their food, droplets of saliva going all over the place. Absolute nightmare. So, and that was just a few days ago, really. That was a few days ago. I think that was Wednesday, which means they've announced this, I think, Friday. So a couple of days later, a complete turnaround. And I remember last week as well when The Guardian ran a piece about Number 10 talking about face masks. There wasn't really a hint, I don't think, at the time of it being compulsory, but just, or maybe try and encourage more people to wear face masks. They had to use a picture of Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of the Scottish Parliament, presumably because they couldn't find a photo of a Westminster minister wearing one for love nor money. But now, just a few days later, Boris Johnson is pictured wearing one for a photo opportunity. And the reason given is so that people will have confidence when they go out to spend their money. Now, I just want to dwell on that for a moment. So it's not so that the rate of infection can be kept down. This is not Boris Johnson being told, look, you might well be trying to convince people that it's all on the decline now and blah, 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 but we're going to get that second wave later on and you're going to be under the cosh again and people are going to be pointing at what you've been doing. You really need, if you were to get everyone to wear face masks that are going to come into contact with each other, particularly indoors, you will massively reduce that second wave. Do you not think you should do that? No, that's not what it is. It's not to preserve our health or to save lives. The government see the compulsory wearing of face masks as a potential solution to the following problem. Not that infections are bound to go up again. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that not enough people are going out and spending in the shops. I mean, this is despite the fact that the government told people to go out and spend all their money in the shops. I mean, it's like Boris Johnson must be there tearing his hair out, poor lad, going, but I told them to go and spend. I told them to go to the pubs and the restaurants. I told them to go to the shops. Why are they not spending enough? Why are not enough people going? And the problem is that a lot of people are not entirely convinced that it is safe to do so. I mean, all us silly geese didn't fancy going out to the crowded shops with a deadly virus buzzing around. So, poor little lambs, the government thought. The problem here is confidence. Tell you what, will you come out and spend all your money if we make sure everyone's wearing masks? Just to make you feel better. Not, as I say, because it's a measure that could actually reduce the rate of infection, whilst also allowing the government to open up the economy, keep bits of it open. And this is the level of boneheadedness that sometimes, when I'm reading through the news and you just go mad, you just want to scream. You're just thinking, what? What? And if this is the reason for this policy, then that suggests that they don't even consider the suppression of the virus to be benefit at all. They're not considering, they must have discussed this before they've announced it. And when they were discussing it, there was no thought of, it could actually reduce the spread of the virus. I mean, it could have done that months ago. No, that's not even a consideration. This is literally them saying they're not interested in measures used to suppress the virus unless, I was going to say unless a vaccine comes along and they'll use that. But actually, although I was talking about the fact very recently that the government were thinking about joining the EU vaccination programme, now they've announced they don't want to after all. There's limited benefit to us. So yeah, okay. Which means the only conclusion you can really draw is that they have no concern for the spread of the virus, which means they're still believing in their herd immunity crap. That's the only explanation, isn't it? That's still what they believe. That's still what they're gunning for. But there it is. At least if they're going to be making this, then that will be compulsory. Of course, we may well end. We'll have to see if we're as bad as in America. We may get a load of crap from people insisting that's going to cause oxygenation problems, which has been hampering efforts in the US. Oh, you're depriving me of oxygen, putting a face. And I'm just thinking, have these people got no brains at all? Have they got no? Do they not understand? Doctors wear these things over their faces for hours whilst carrying out highly intense, very laborious operations. I mean, if a doctor can carry out life-saving surgery, spending hours physically exerting themselves, concentrating intensely every second with a mask over their face, and they're able to get their oxygen just fine, do you not think that you can wear one when you go to Tesco? But anyway, hopefully that won't be an issue in this country. We will see. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further. Please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.